Hi friends, my name is Chaitanya Patkan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to analyze the most bizarre, yet from an Indian point of view, one of the most satisfying wins abroad. That is the second Test match which took place at Newlands in Cape Town between India and South Africa. The visiting team, that is India, thrashed South Africa by 7 wickets, and the less said about the pitch, the better. In terms of balls bowled, this was the lowest time it ever took to finish a test match, just 642 deliveries across 4 innings. That tells you about the state of the pitch, and the quality of pitch preparation in South Africa is just going down day by day. We saw in the 2018 Johannesburg test as well, which was in the same circumstances that India won the test match and began the glorious era of Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli's overseas partnership in test cricket, which is still remembered by every Indian fans. So this test match was just a throwback to the Johannesburg test 6 years ago. I would like to start the analysis by first of all mentioning the pitch condition. It was rated as unsatisfactory by ICC match referee Chris Broad, and Rohit Sharma aptly gave the response to the critics that we are more than happy to play on such kind of pitches, but when you people, that is South Africa, England or Australia, come to India, you don't crib about the pitch conditions, because despite the fact that it spins a lot, the conditions of Indian pitches is a lot better as compared to the South African pitch we saw at Newlands, and this has been the hypocrisy of the Western Bloc, that to hide their incompetence against spin, they always blame the Indian pitches and Indian condition, and they don't work hard. And Rohit Sharma said that is test cricket, we play in such circumstances in South Africa, so we also expect people to work their socks off and play accordingly to the conditions in India, and don't cry and crib about the conditions. This thought was echoed by Mr. Sunil Gavaskar as well, who took a jibe at England, but I'll make that video afterwards. South Africa won the toss and chose to bat first. It was the bizarre decision of Dean Elgar in his final test, and South Africa were bundled out for just 55 and 23.2 overs. In that also 5 runs were extra, so just 50 runs were scored by the South African batsman. Agreed that the pitch conditions were less than ideal, but we have to give credit to Mohammad Siraj, one of the greatest spells ever bowled by an Indian bowler overseas. 9 overs, 3 maidens, 15 runs, 6 wicket. Excellent bowling, and he hit that 4th or 5th pitch length quite magnificently, and South African batsman kept poking outside the off stump. Siraj was very good in his areas as well, constantly bowled above 135 to 140 kilometers per hour, and his ball seemed off the wicket as well, which is a dangerous combination. It reminded me of the hat-trick that Irfan Pathan took against Pakistan in 2006. Prasidh Krishna bowled 4 overs, 1 maiden, 10 runs, no wicket. Jasprit Bumrah also took 2 wickets. In 8 overs, he gave away 25 runs bowling 1 maiden, and Mukesh Kumar in 2.2 overs, he bowled 2 maidens. He did not give away, he did not get any maidens, but he gave 2 wickets he took to clean up the South African tail. So India had a lots of advantage going into the second innings, but who thought that India's innings also is going to perish on the first day itself? So that is quite unique. I think it never happened in the history of Test cricket, or India were all out for just 153, that also 24 extras. So Indian batsmen only made 129 runs, 130 runs, 29 runs, I beg your pardon, in 34.5 overs, with India's last 6 wickets falling at just 153, from 153 to 4 to 153 all out. One of the most shambolic and bizarre performances, but you cannot blame the pitch, because South African bowlers, especially Lungi Ngidi, just kept pitching up the ball, and Indian batsmen, they should have left the ball, they just kept nicking it, and the slips took the catch. One good aspect in this test match was the slip catching of both the teams, which has gone up notches above from the previous tour. So So that is good to see, one positive aspect in this test match. The only positive for India in the first innings was the counter-attacking innings of Rohit Sharma. He scored 39 runs of 50 deliveries, which included 7 boundaries, and I think that was the way to go on this pitch, because on this sort of a pitch you need more luck rather than anything else to survive, because one good ball can get you whether you are playing on 0 or whether you are playing on 100. Virat Kohli also played a good counter-attacking knock of 46 of just 59 deliveries, which included 1 6 and 4 boundaries. He was eventually dismissed by Kagiso Rabada, and Rohit Sharma was dismissed by Berger, with Jansen taking the catch. Berger, I beg your pardon, with Jansen taking a simple catch in the deep. Otherwise, none of the Indian batsmen even managed to get into 12 double figures. If India had scored 250, India would have actually won by an innings, but I expected some sort of application from the South African batsmen in the second innings, but barring Aiden Markram, none of them showed up. A good gesture by Virat Kohli. He actually stopped everyone to celebrate after he took the catch of Dean Elgar of Mukesh Kumar in the slip to congratulate him on a magnificent test career. I just want to deviate from the test match for a moment. Dean Elgar has been one of the most magnificent and one of the most old school guys, prolific um, player for South Africa, and he just in some mold reminded you of Graham Smith, and he was, I think, one of the last of his kind along with Cheteshwar Pujara to play test cricket. He wasn't very close to the, he wasn't very good to the eye, just like Sir Alistair Cook, but when he made runs, he made tough runs and always made sure that he gave more than 100% for South Africa whenever he represented the Proteas. So I think so he will play county cricket, Dean Elgar, for 2 to 3 years before finally retiring from the first club game. So he has been a magnificent server of South Africa, and hopefully whatever he does next, he finds success. So analyzing the second innings of South Africa, they were all out for 176, with Markram, I think, playing the best test innings of his career and one of the greatest innings ever played by an South African. 106 runs on that minefield of a pitch of just 103 deliveries, which included 2 gigantic sixes of Prasidh Krishna and 17 boundaries at a strike rate of 102.91. This has been the innings that we can say that Aiden Markram has finally arrived on the test scene. We all know about his exploits in the white ball format, but over the years, test cricket, I think he has said in the interviews, he found it difficult to cope with despite many distractions. So this is his coming of age innings, and what a display it was. He stroked the ball through the covers, through the third man. Anything that was short was hammered away to the leg side boundary for either a 6 or a 4. He rotated the strike. He rotated, I beg your pardon, the strike pretty well, reminiscent of VVS Lakshman when he used to bat for India. Mr. Lakshman used to take the number 7, 8, 9, 10 bowlers and bail India out of difficult circumstances, and many a times also won the test match for India. So that was a reminiscent innings. He timed the ball pretty well, and from the onset, the mindset of Aiden Markram was very positive, that anything short or if there is a scoring opportunity, he is not going to block it, because if we go into the shell on that sort of a pitch, then you are in big trouble. So the clarity of thought and the way in which he executed the strokes was a sight to behold. Unfortunate that he couldn't get South Africa over the line, but it was a great innings nonetheless. In the second innings, we saw the Jasprit Bumrah of old, the Jasprit Bumrah we saw in 2018, 2019 in Australia, or 2017, 2018 in South Africa, or the Jasprit Bumrah which we saw in 2021 in England, who just rips through the sides despite the fact in Sena conditions. Excellent swing bowling display as well. He pitched the ball full. He did nothing magical, but his pace has also improved constantly above 134, 135 kilometers per hour, and the South African batsman had absolutely no clue on how to handle his menace. The cotton bolt he took of Marco Jansen was excellently well done. There were a bit of a concerns about his fitness when he was fielding, but as a precautionary fact, the BCCI has now not named him in the 3-match T20 international series against Afghanistan, which is going to take place at home. So he will get ample rest to recuperate, and we'll see what happens next. But this has been one of his magnificent performances. 13.5 overs, 61 runs, 6 wickets. Mohammad Siraj also, the hero in the first innings ably supported him. 9 overs, 3 maidens, 3 runs, 1 wicket at less than zero point 0.3 per over. So that was the menacing duo. Mukesh Kumar picked up 2 wickets despite the fact that he went for quite a few towards the back end of his spell due to Aiden Markram's counter attack. 10 overs, 2 maidens, 56 runs, 2 wickets. And Prasidh Krishna got the wicket of Kagiso Rabada. In 4 overs, he gave away 27 runs. Aiden Markram took a liking to him in the latter part of the innings. That's why his figures were a bit spoiled. He must be disappointed with his overall performances in this test series. But let's see how he grows, because he has performed exceedingly well in the Ranji Trophy. But now he has to go to the next level. And although the performance of Prasidh Krishna in the 2 test matches has been nothing short of unsatisfactory, we just should give him a bit of time, because after Mohammad Shami comes into the playing 11, Prasidh Krishna is going to find it very hard to break into the playing 11. So he must go back to the Ranji Trophy and prove his worth once again. We know he is a skilled bowler. We know he can bowl constantly outside the off stump, but this tour is a harsh reminder about the realities in international cricket. So India were set a target of 79 runs from they just did 3.5 days. They just a minute. 79 runs were required. India scored 80 for 3. India won by 7 wickets, with Rabada, Berger and Marco Jansen taking 1 wicket apiece. Yashasvi Jaiswal from the first over itself began the counter attack, and as I said previously in the video, that was the only way to survive on this sort of a pitch. 28 runs of 23 deliveries with 6 boundaries, couple of impressive pull shots, a cover drive, a flick of the pad, 121.74 was the strike rate. He was eventually undone by Berger, with Tristan Stubbs taking the catch in the middle. Rohit Sharma was unbeaten on 17 of 22 deliveries with 2 boundaries. Shubman Gill also spanked Kagiso Rabada for a couple of boundaries through the covers. Unfortunate that he got bowled. He scored 10 of 11 deliveries, and Virat Kohli also was caught down the leg side. Quite an unfortunate dismissal that, otherwise we would have won by 8 wickets. But anyways, that happens in cricket. He scored 12 of 11 deliveries, couple of boundaries. Marco Jansen took his wicket, and the winning runs was hit by Shreyas Iyer, 4 of 6 deliveries. He was not out, which sealed one of the most magnificent triumphs in the history of Test cricket. Rohit Sharma aptly put it that this victory is at par with the Gabba, and I agree with him, because nobody expected after the thrashing in the first test that Team India got, that India might be able to salvage some pride in this test match, despite the fact that we were playing at full strength. I think so this is overall this tour is a bit of a missed opportunity. We could have had the first chance to win the test series here in 31 or 32 years, but we were not on the ball in the first test match, which was aptly summarized by KL Rahul as well, that Team India didn't play with a lot of intensity in the first game, which eventually costed us the game. But in the second test, everything fell into place, despite the fact that this was one of the worst ever pitches made in international cricket. Rohit Sharma must feel particularly proud of the side, because this is under his captaincy, this is his first victory in Sena conditions, and it might give him much needed boost and confidence, because as we know, after the World Cup he was pretty disappointed, and this victory will boost his morale and boost his confidence ahead of the series against Afghanistan, whether in which he will return, and give him much needed confidence going into the IPL and the T20 World Cup. So how did you like my analysis of the second test match? Please tell me in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon for further notifications. We'll meet in the next video. Till then everyone, bye, and I humbly request to you all once again, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.